than the alternative, right? Buenos días, muy buenos días. ¿Cómo están todos? Bien, aquí más o menos, aquí más o menos. Ah, soy como la enferma, the sick person, soy como la enferma del grupo hoy en día, pero es otra cosa, es otra cosa. Ok, vamos a practicar y hablar y tomar preguntas y todo eso. Bien. First. Primero porque no sé exactamente ah, si ustedes van a tener más preguntas de lo normal con este vídeo, ¿sí? Ok. La primera práctica, la primera actividad es tomar sus preguntas. So my first activity is to take your questions. This video, which was really more an information thing, it was like a mini history lesson, yeah? Es su cuento, su relación de las dificultades de España y por qué hay menos gente que, que vive hoy en día en zonas específicas de España. Bien, y para hablar de la falta de población, lack of population, sí, hay que contar un poquito de las dificultades durante y después de la guerra en los años 30 en ese país. ¿Cuáles son sus preguntas? ¿Tienen alguna pregunta del video? Do you have any kind of question on that video with vocab or anything? Nada. Wow. Excelente, porque ella es porteña. She is a Buenos Aires person.
I
So,
wondered if those little towns would be good for tourists. You know, they don't like us in the big cities. Maybe it would be relaxing to rent a little place in
ah,
one.
sí,
It could
es
be terrible.
interesante. No, tienes razón hasta cierto punto. A veces en España y también creo en Italia ah, hay programas del gobierno para, para dejar como motivos, giving an incentive, ¿sí? A la gente de mudarse a estos pueblos despoblados. Uh, pero es difícil porque hay menos infraestructura en esos lugares. Pero sí, es verdad, a veces tratan de fomentar el turismo o la mudanza de la gente a estos pueblos en los últimos 10 años, digamos. Bien, ok.
Tengo una amiga y su hija trabaja ahora en Romania in la
Ah,
granja. Granja, is that how you say farm? Granja.
es trabajo de remoto, ¿no?
In Romania, yeah, ahora.
Sí. Hay programas que existen en varios países de Europa para las nómadas digitales, ¿sí? Ah, pero en el último año y el último 2 años, quizás, estos programas han cambiado o cambian un poco. Hay más restricciones en los últimos 2 años para esta gente que quieren trabajar de manera remota, ¿sí? Uh,
Y no
pero
Y
sí.
Tom,
gana, go
Go ahead.
ahead.
no,
No
go ahead, Nora.
gana dinero solo por la comida y una cama.
Ah,
Not earning
ah,
any money. It's just for food and room and board.
wow, ok. Interesante. Ok, sí, Lori.
Y hay lugares en los Estados Unidos como Oklahoma o en
Ajá.
el centro del país ah, que paga a la gente a mudarse a su estado.
Sí. También en un estado como Iowa, de vez en cuando, porque mi esposo es originalmente nativo de Iowa, ¿sí? Ah, quieren atraer a la gente a mudarse al estado para aumentar la población. Pero es difícil porque muchas veces estos pueblos son pequeños. Hay, bueno, menos infraestructura, están lejos de un aeropuerto principal muchas veces. Y hay desventajas, there are disadvantages, hay desventajas de vivir en un pueblo como en Oklahoma o Iowa o algún lugar, ¿sí? Y creo especialmente en estas regiones agricultural, sí, estas áreas agrícolas es difícil atraer a la gente para mudarse al lugar. Bien, bueno, ¿hay otra observación o hay otra pregunta de eso? ¿No? Bien. Actually, next week, the reason I wanted to show you this was for the coming week, you're going to get a perspective from somebody who's very young who actually is doing a move to a very unpopulated area. So, how that works and what this person is doing. And it's interesting because she being an artist and a person into digital media has some really interesting takes on why she is doing this and then what she is doing in the process of renovating this house. Okay, so that video is to set you up for the videos that are coming in the next week. Vale, bueno. Entonces, la siguiente actividad, momentito, porque cambió mi escritorio un poquito, tengo que leer aquí. Bien, vale. La próxima actividad, create any 2 sentences. And when we're done with this, we're going to tie in some other verbs to see how that might work for some other things. But any 2 sentences, and I'll bring up the file we had worked with. What we're trying to do is to just show there are certain verbs you're likely to hear used with a lot of tenses. And this is the first one we had done, poder, right? But we also had estar, tener, and those three. And I had asked that you create any two sentences where you might use something. It's not just the present tense, but maybe something in the past, maybe something in conditional, maybe something in subjunctive. ¿Hay algún ejemplo? Un voluntario para dos frases. A volunteer for a couple sentences. ¿Alguien? Sí, Lori.
Y actualmente tengo 3 frases.
Ok.
Dos con estar y tener. Si yo estuviera en Irán ahora mismo, tendría mucho miedo.
Ay, sí. Si estuviera en Irán actualmente, hoy en día, sí, tendría mucho miedo. And you've got that marrying of the two. Yeah, the past subjunctive and the tendría. I would be scared. Eso, sí, perfecto. Otro.
Then, si tuviéramos más dinero, viviríamos en California.
Si tuviéramos más dinero, viviríamos en California. Cuesta mucho
Sí.
comprar o tener una vivienda, tener apartamento o comprar una casa. Wow. Carísimo, carísimo, es carísimo, pero muy lindo.
So here, this is a common saying. We'll see if you understand, because I was trying to, I wasn't sure about the verbs. Si yo hubiera sabido que estuviste viniendo, te hornearía una torta.
Okay. If I'd known you were coming.
I would have baked you a cake.
Sí, sí, okay, sí, bien.
So,
And I would stay away from that. Like, okay, hubiera is great. Hubiese is a common thing to hear, that alternate past subjunctive. You hear a lot in Spain, but kind of not so much in Latin America. I mean, you may read it, but not hear it so much. So, sí, if I'd have known you were coming.
and the part that I actually struggled with more is if I had known you were coming. Is that correct? Estuviste viniendo?
I would make it easier than that. Okay. And you know, that part of it is kind of hard to gauge. Si hubiera sabido, si hubiera sabido, if I had known, sí, que iba a venir, that you were going to come, que iba a venir, that you were going to come. See? Bien. And we'll talk about a little bit about some other verbs that are going to plug in this way for kind of prepare yourself to know some forms so that you can use them in this way. We'll take a look at them when we're done with your examples. Buenos ejemplos, me gustan mucho. Bien hecho, well done. Otros ejemplos, 2 frases. Todo el mundo no tiene que tener 3. Sí, Carrie.
So I have 2. Estuvimos en Las Vegas hace 2 semanas para ver las Mago de Oz.
Bien, sí, perfecto, perfecto. Es pretérito muy lógico porque hace 2 años, hace 2 semanas, hace 2 meses, anytime you have a this long ago kind of phrase, yeah? This long ago kind of phrase, estuvimos, we were in, okay? Está bien, it's perfect, because you're talking about a stay at a specific point in the time in the past, right? If you're talking about we were in this place and it's part of a longer story, then estaba might be more natural. But for this, because you're defining it, that's perfect. Bien, otro ejemplo.
So, si estuviera allí, ¿te daría un abrazo?
Ah, bien, sí. Te daría un abrazo. Sí. Give you a hug. Gracias. Sí. Bien. Me gusta mucho. Buenos ejemplos.
Pregunta para Carrie. La primera frase, did you say you were in Vegas and saw the Wizard of Oz?
Sí,
Is that? Oh,
sí,
and the Sphere?
sí.
Uh, ¿cómo, cómo estaba?
¿Cómo, cómo
Or
cómo
how
fue?
was it?
How was it? Because it
¿Cómo
already
fue?
happened.
¿Cómo
¿Cómo
lo
fue?
fue?
How was it? ¿Cómo fue?
Oh, very, yeah. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, it's worth seeing. Vale la pena.
Vale la pena. Vale la pena.
Lori,
Worth
we
it.
saw the Eagles in the Sphere when they first started doing their touring there, and all I can say it is the Sphere is just incredibly awesome.
Yeah.
Bien. Sí.
Just awesome.
Y muy caro.
What?
Y
Las
muy caro.
Vegas.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ok.
vale la
Sí.
pena.
En-
But they-
las entradas son caras,
Sí,
¿verdad?
Mhm.
sí.
Ok. Pero depende del grupo. Sí, depende del show. Si es un grupo muy famoso,
Mhm.
las entradas van a costar más. ¿Bien? Sí.
There are no more good cheap concerts anywhere.
Ok. No
No, no,
hay
no hay uh, no hay
conciertos
conciertos buenos y baratos.
y baratos. Sí, me parece que sí, sí. Bien. Pero Las Vegas es un lugar que está acostumbrado de tener como shows, ¿sí? Programas especiales, conciertos especiales, ah, hay cantantes, sí, cantantes y grupos musicales que tienen sus shows, sí, en, en vivo, live, en vivo. Directo y es un lugar muy famoso para tener espectáculos, para tener espectáculos. Bien, bueno, hay más.
Yes,
Sí, Marco, sí, sí, sí.
in Las Vegas, la mayoría de los shows cuestan um, menos de
Menos de
dólares.
100, menos de 100.
Most shows, but not like in the Sphere and the special headliners like just but most of the shows that are there sort of all the time are not too
Sí,
expensive.
bien. Sí, depende del artista,
Sí,
depende del
pues,
artista. Si es un nombre muy célebre, muy famoso, sí, van a costar más. Ok, sí, una entrada típica. Wow, la última vez que fui a Las Vegas, wow, la última vez que fui a Las Vegas fue como en 1988, más o menos. Fui a ver Diana Ross. Y fue un concierto, sí, fue un concierto espectacular, sí, me gustó muchísimo. Y wow, aquellos días una entrada costó como $50, $75, más o menos. Y bueno, sería, obviamente, sería más costoso hoy en día. Ah, todo cuesta más hoy en día. Ok, vale. Dos frases más. Two more sentence examples. Anybody? Sí, Marcos.
Okay. Um, si mis rodillas estuvieran mejor, volvería a jugar golf.
Ok, bien, bien. Ah, otro ejemplo también.
Sí,
Ok.
sí. Um, si tuviéramos tiempo para hacer planes, iríamos a Italia.
Exacto, sí, sí. Muy bien, muy bien. Vale. Marcos, tengo una pregunta para ti. Ah, si, si pudiera ver mm, cualquier equipo de béisbol, cualquier equipo de béisbol, ¿qué equipo sería? ¿Qué equipo querría ver?
Ah, well, quiero ver los Yankees
Ok, bien, bien. Vale, bueno,
en Nueva York.
en Nueva York. Ok, por, por razones nostálgicos o por razones de los talentos de los jugadores.
Nostálgicos, um, uh, porque um, soy de Nueva York.
Sí, exacto, sí. Si yo pudiera ver un partido de béisbol, me gustaría volver a Wrigley Field, ¿sí? Para sentarme en bleachers, ¿sí? Los asientos en los bleachers, ¿sí? Y tomar una cerveza o quizás dos cervezas, ¿sí? Y ver los partidos allá. Bien. Bueno,
Tengo una pregunta para Marco. Um, uh, su- los rodillos no son mejor después de, I don't remember how to say to have surgery.
Um, son mejor, pero no son perfectos.
ah, sí,
I'm trying to say that, they definitely are better, but I'm not sure I could walk a full round of golf.
sí.
Mm.
Para hablar de,
Me preguntas por qué tengo un rodillo que es un poco malo.
esta, una rodilla mala, una
Ya,
rodilla que te duele.
sí,
Ok.
hueso en dos lugares.
Au.
Eh,
Entonces, ¿te duele mucho? ¿Te duele todo el tiempo o solamente de vez en cuando?
um, ah, eh, no, no mucho ahora, pero physical therapy ah,
Terapia,
eh, me
terapia
ayuda
física.
mucho, me ayuda mucho.
Sí. Bien. Sí, para hablar de surgery, sí, hay varias palabras que podemos usar, como cirugía, cirugía, ¿sí? A veces se usa operación, pero creo que no es tan común como cirugía o, por ejemplo, hay otra palabra, pero es el cuarto para la operación, ¿sí? Se llama quirófano, Quiro, quirófano. Quirófano es como el lugar físico, el cuarto para, para tener cirugía, ¿sí? Y la cirugía, sí, yo bueno, a- yo voy a tomar como terapia física para mi problema, pero mi problema no tiene nada que ver con el hueso, bone, no tiene nada que ver con el hueso. Así que la cirugía no me sirvió. Perdón, no me serviría para nada. No me serviría. It would not work. It would not do me any good. ¿Sí? Porque mis problemas son con los músculos, solamente con los músculos. Y por eso cirugía no es una opción.
So is tener the verb that you use with cirugía?
Sí, se puede decir. Sí. Bien. Ok.
And Lori,
Bien.
I just want to add that in part I was just trying to make sentences right there. So, I was looking for a if then, kind of.
I
Pero
don't want to have surgery.
en una situación que te sirve, it's good for you. It's something you would use. Sí, es de tu experiencia. Y es así que tenemos que practicar. Tenemos que practicar con cosas que realmente decimos para practicar, porque
Yeah.
nos
See,
sirve
Ma
mejor.
Ma Marilyn never told us that we have to be 100% honest in
Ah,
our home.
bien, sí, exacto. Muy bien, muy bien. ¿Tienes otro ejemplo, Marcos, o no?
No,
No, ok, está bien. Bueno, ¿quién más tiene dos ejemplos? ¿Alguien? Anybody else? Sí, Nora.
Well, I had to kind of think up a little situation like Marcos. I thought of me telling a student that they're not happy about going back to school, and I tried to use all of them in Estás triste porque vas a la escuela temprano. So that's the present. Estuviste triste por una semana. You were just sad for a week.
Sí, es posible.
Estabas en la clase de Señora Perez. So you were in class with her.
Sí.
And ojalá estés feliz en la clase en la próxima año. Would that be
Ojalá que
using?
estés feliz. Hopefully you'll be happy.
Yes.
Sí.
Okay. And then these other two, I really didn't quite understand exactly how to do it. Estarías en la silla cerca las ventanas.
Cerca de las ventanas.
You will be, or in this seat near the windows.
Ah,
See, I was
Ok.
trying to figure out how I would use these other two forms, and
Vas a estar en un asiento cerca de las ventanas. Vas a estar. Estarás futuro también es posible, pero es más común decir simplemente vas a estar en un asiento cerca de las ventanas.
so I need some more examples on how to use those other two forms. Estuvieras, si estuvieras enojado.
Okay,
If
okay.
you will be angry,
If,
you know,
okay, if you were angry,
Yeah.
if you were angry. Si estuvieras
enojado.
enojado
¿Por qué?
con un maestro,
Sí.
¿sí? Tendrías que hablar con esa persona, ¿sí? Del problema.
So to use that form, it's usually best to start with the if, si, the
I think it helps you because it helps you to know that you need that funny past subjunctive. Si estuvieras. Si estuvieras enojado, if you were angry, ¿sí? Con tu maestro, tendrías que hablar con esa persona para resolver
okay.
el problema, ¿no?
So
Como así. O, por ejemplo, si, si, si estuvieras en una clase avanzada, tendrías que hacer más trabajo.
okay.
Si estuvieras en California, sería buena idea visitar como a Yosemite. Sería buena idea. Sí, si estuvieras en California, sí, sería buena idea visitar Yosemite.
So
por
is the
ejemplo.
ria the same verb tense? That's a different verb tense.
Sería, it's still conditional. So what we want to do is we want to think of this as a marriage or a connection. Those si clauses, if we use si with a past subjunctive, si tuviera, si pudiera, si estuviera. If we connect a si with a past subjunctive, one of those, and those are common, they're used a lot, then the next verb we connect, which will be a different verb than the pudiera, than the tuviera, than the estuviera. The next verb will have to be a conditional. That's the way they work. If I were to do this, somebody would do that. Yeah. That is a pattern that is really, really common. Because it's talking about a situation that is hypothetical. You know, if you were in the events class, you would have more work, or it would be harder. If you were in California, it would be a good idea, yeah? And that would be a good idea, sería buena idea, is just sería conditional, it would be a good idea. And these are always used for hypothetical situations. Okay.
And then a couple of examples on how to use that other form, estarias.
Estaría?
Yeah.
A conditional of estaría?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's where I tried to say you would be in the seat near the window, but
sí. Si tuviera problemas en la terapia física, ¿sí? Estaría muy cansada y muy triste.
Okay. Oh, okay.
¿Sí? ¿Entiendes? ¿Sí?
Yes, I should use
Ah,
that as my second verb, not my first one.
sí, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that matching up is common. So you don't have to know the subjunctive or the past subjunctive, which is hard to form for every single verb, but there's certain ones that tend to come up a lot. So the whole reason, and let me pop this up on the screen so you can kind of visualize what we're talking about, because pretty soon we're going to go into this kind of extra layer anyway. The whole reason you want to know, let's say the pudiera, or the estuviera, or the tuviera, right? And of course, it can be tuvieras, tuvieran, tuviéramos. It can be any of those forms too, but that base form of tuviera. Because those verbs like poder, like tener, like estar are super high frequency verbs, because they're high frequency, it's good to just know what's that one form so I can do a what if idea. Yeah. Those what if ideas talk about hypothetical situations. See, si tuviera tiempo, if I had time. Si tuviera tiempo, haría un pastel especial. I would make a special cake. Si tuviera tiempo, if I had time. So that si tuviera tiempo, if I had time, is the reason it's tuviera is that, in fact, I don't have time. And because that situation of having time, in this case, doesn't exist, it's not really like it doesn't exist, so it's got to be a subjunctive. Anything that doesn't exist has to be a subjunctive. Si tuviera tiempo, if I had time, but I don't. See, I would do this, and that's the conditional part. So the thing that you would do, that somebody would do, is the conditional part. And the conditional is easier in terms of formation. It's ia endings, like you hear with er verbs for imperfect, but we slap them onto the whole infinitive, right? So iría, I would go. Sería, it would be. Haría, I would do or make something. See? Si tuviera cirugía otra vez, haría más terapia física. I would do more physical therapy. If I had a surgery, but I don't, I would do more therapy. Por ejemplo. Bien, ¿entienden? Understand? See? It's kind of a lot, but those C phrases kind of do come up a lot. I mean, even in English, we say things like that a lot. And it's good to have these higher frequency verbs. You know, just knowing that one form that you can reach out for and grab and use is helpful. If you know just like one form, like the yo form, you can just slap on an S to say the tu form, right? Si tuvieras, if you had, right? We can make it into a nosotros form, easy. Si tuviéramos. So once you know the tuviera as a have it in your back hip pocket kind of form, you can morph it into some other forms kind of easily. Okay. ¿Sí? Bien, entienden. Okay. Any other sentence examples? Yeah, más o menos. Okay. Requiere práctica. It requires practice. Requiere práctica. And we're going to give you some an opportunity to do some of that practice a little bit more in the coming week, but we're going to add in some other verbs to do that practice with. And I'll show you something that I'm going to assign, but sort of as a side thought. Okay. I'm going to show you a video that I will send with the email, but we're not going to watch this during class, but it explains things in a little more detail with examples. This is a video that is a grammar-oriented video. It's not going to be your listening storytelling, which would be more interesting. But this is helpful because it shows you why we're taking a look at these kinds of verbs. So we did in this first stretch, right? Poder, and the many forms it can take, tener, and the many forms it can take, estar, and the many forms it can take. And we're going to see why we're looking at these verbs. These are called verbo modal. These are called modal verbs. And all that means is we are using two verbs together. These are common verbs that are used a lot that pair up with a second verb. So you see verbo modal and segundo verbo. Verbo modal and segundo verbo. The modal verb is what gets the conjugation. Because in the case of poder, somebody can do something. The do something is the segundo verbo. And the segundo verbo, the do something, is some kind of activity, but it always stays an infinitive. So you don't worry about, oh, now I got to put this in a conjugation. No, you don't have to, because it stays always as an infinitive. But this little video is going to run through a lot of these kind of verbs. I don't think she does them all, but she does a whole lot and shows why, they are powerful, because you only have to know a small group of verbs and you can pair them up with something else. But these are our high frequency kind of verbs. So that's why we're looking at this. And we're going to look at the next group. And I may be a little challenged to use my new workspace to show you these, but we're going to show you some of these, and I want you to do a few more examples with these for the coming week. Uy, ¿dónde está? Aquí. So we've had poder. These are verbos modales. These are the modal verbs, verbos modales. We've had poder. We've had tener. We've had estar. And here are some more high-frequency verbs. She's going to talk about these in that video. And does she use ir? Maybe she doesn't. So, okay, our purpose with this, and we're probably going to have to split it up into a couple of different screens, but our purpose is going to be to say, which of, let's look at the kinds of conjugations that may often be used for these, frequent kind of verbs. And really the two first verbs there are going to be the most important ones in this group. So we're going to really take a deep dive in knowing ir, because it's kind of a review, but it really, really helps. Ir, to go, right? My fingers on the keys. But all right. Momentito. Okay, a ver. To go. Y el patrón. The reason I put this into the modal verb is because this is, again, we combine ir with a second verb, and that second verb doesn't change. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the common forms of ir that will recycle and come up over and over and over again. But do remember that for this, the pattern, el patrón, is ir and that word a, and then the segundo verbo. Okay, so for this one, we need that little word a. It's just ir takes. That's always the phrase they give you when you learn the verb ir. It takes that preposition a. It just needs it. It's not important to know why. It just does. Okay. And the general idea of this is that somebody is going to do some activity, right? And this is probably the most frequent. You're going to come up with this all the time. So, of course, we're going to look just at the yo forms, right? The yo forms to give us a baseline. And, of course, voy is always the first one. That's the one that everybody knows, voy, for presente. If you want to make it into past, it gets real freaky real quick because fui. Yeah. We're going to take quite a look at this iba and talk a little bit about what that means, because that is special. Iba and that second verb, segundo verbo, ¿sí? If anytime you want to say somebody was going to do something, that's the one you're going to want. So now, iba by itself would mean I used to go, or you used to go, right? For ibas, or we used to go, íbamos. But when we combine it with that second verb, iba was going to do something. Entonces, por ejemplo, I want everybody to focus on an example with iba in imperfecto, to say something. This is something we use quite a lot. I was going to call you. Iba a llamarte. Iba a llamarte. Iba a llamarte, pero perdí tu número. I lost your number. Iba a llamarte, pero perdí tu teléfono. Tu número de teléfono, ¿no? Bien? If somebody was going to do something, that's what they're going to use. Okay? Let's take a look at.
Question?
Sí, dime.
So when you have like, I was going to whatever, but then that second part, but is going to be in preterite, correct?
Well, I guess, yeah. Is there another example that doesn't? I have to think about that.
Because like, when you were
And
doing
you know what?
preterite,
You might not
And in-
have a second part. You might not
Okay.
have a second part. Okay, I'll give you an example. Un ejemplo, por favor. Iba a visitar iba a visitar a Luis. I was going to visit Luis. And maybe you don't attach anything to it, just what it was that you were going to do. Es posible. That's possible.
But if you did want to have a second clause because you like were going to do something, but then this event happened that interrupted it, that would have to be preterite.
I'd say likely. Yeah, likely, because something else happened, right? ¿Sí? Iba, ok, por ejemplo, iba a manejar a Tempe, pero hubo un accidente, así que no fui. But there was an accident, so I didn't go. Posible. Sí. Yeah, so if you attach something else, likely that it will be a preterite, because likely it's an interrupting action of something that really did happen. And you're likely not explaining what was going on, which is imperfecto, but something that happened. to interrupt that process. Yeah. See? But sometimes it does just sort of hang there by itself. Okay.
You know, I just got to thinking of with Lori's question there. So, as an example of maybe it's not a preterite, second continuance there. I was going to go somewhere, but it was raining.
Ah, pero llovía. Well, that could be either pero llovía or pero llovió. It depends on what you want to convey. It rained and
Yeah,
therefore over, or it was raining and you're describing the condition. It could be either way. And the way you choose conveys kind of a different idea of a rolling process of rain, 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 rain for a long time, or it rained and it's done. See? One is not more correct than another, but it could go either way. And
yeah,
you're conveying, like, you're painting a picture one way or the other with that verb that you choose. See? Bien? Okay. Otro ejemplo, another example. Por ejemplo, iba a iba a viajar, iba a viajar, iba a viajar a Nueva York. I was gonna travel to New York. Iba a viajar a Nueva York, pero resulta que los billetes cuestan mucho, but it turns out the tickets are too high, yeah? So, yeah, what you attach to that second half really depends on what you need to express. Maybe I was going to do something, but a condition exists right now in the present, and then it might still be presente. Yeah. So unlike those C clauses, C with a past subjunctive and then conditional, unlike that, which is a formula, a set pattern, that iba I was going to do something might pair up with a few different kinds of patterns. It depends on what you need to say. Yeah. Let's take a look at a couple other examples of forms that you'll need for ir, things you'll have to have in your hip pocket to pull out, things that you'll hear ir because it is so common go into many of these forms. Okay, bien, let's take a look at that past subjunctive. Yeah, that past subjunctive. And that past subjunctive is going to be based on this thing here. So it's going to be super irregular, but past subjunctive always looks at pretérito, but it looks at the ellos form of pretérito to get its form. So actually you wind up hearing this a lot, fuera. There is your past subjunctive. See? Now, cuidado, careful, because fuera is past subjunctive for both ir and for ser. That is the one bugaboo, the one difficult thing about that word fuera. So fuera can be a past subjunctive for ir and for ser. Why? Because past subjunctive takes its form from third person, ellos form, in pretérito. And ir and ser share that same preterite conjugation set. So that's why that one is a little bit funky. Okay, because you will hear fuera as part of ser also. Bien? And then let's take a look at an easy peasy the conditional is going to be just exactly what you think. What? I get my fingers on these keys now. Peor, peor, even worse. Aún peor. Okay, otra vez. Iría. There's your conditional. Yeah, see? Si tuviéramos dinero, iríamos a Italia. If we have money, we would go to Italy. See? Okay. Bien. So ir will, and I'm going to try to put our two top verbs on this page together. Okay. Bien, ir. Next one, próxima, ¿sí? Querer. Querer, to want to do something, right? And querer matches up with a second verb and, no word in between, Ir needs a, tener needs que, but querer doesn't need any little preposition. It's just querer and the second verb, right? Want to do something. Y claro, quiero, todo el mundo sabe quiero. Everybody knows the quiero part, right? Quiero is the I want. If we want past, you are more likely to hear quería. You are more likely in past to hear quería. There is a predicate form for querer, but it gets special meanings, and we're not going to go into those right now, just so that you know what it looks like. It'll be for the yo form, because I'm trying to be consistent here, getting you the yo forms. Quise, but I would say right now, not as common for what we're using right now, Quise often gets some special meanings in preterite, and this is one of those verbs, because it means to want, that's kind of a hard thing to peg as an action that's easily distinguished as it's over and done. It's not like saying I drove. When you finish driving, it's pretty obvious you're over and done. I went. It's pretty obvious when it's over and done. I bought. Once the money changes hands, it's pretty obvious it's over and done. Want, kind of hard, right? Quería is what you're going to usually want for the past, right? I wanted. See, I wanted. Quería ir. I wanted to go. Quería comprar. I wanted to buy. Quería decirte. I wanted to tell you. Quería decirte. Yeah. Wanted is a hard action to peg as an over and done, because it's an emotion and therefore kind of, cloudy, fluffy, indefinite. So quería is what you're going to usually want to use for a past idea. And here comes the oddball one, which is going to be built on that quise thing, right? If you need to use a past subjunctive, quisiera. And the way you're going to hear quisiera, usually the way you're going to hear it used, just so you know, is that it is a super formal way to say I would want something, to be super polite. So it is used in formal settings. Quisiera saber, I would like to know. But quisiera pedir, I would like to order. Yeah. So you only hear that in kind of formal settings. I would say don't go crazy with a lot of uses for it. Even in, like, they often say, like, if you were at a super fancy restaurant, yeah, quisiera pedir, I would like to order. But that sounds kind of highfalutin, if you know what I mean. So like in a normal restaurant visit, quisiera sounds kind of overly formal, if you know what I mean, overly formal, but just, know that it does exist. Bien, but querría would be conditional. Bien, so what I'm going to do is do a little color highlighting. With this verb querer, en mi opinión, in my opinion, these two are the ones you're going to need the most. So let's put them maybe in a blue that stands out. Really, these two are going to be the ways that you most often hear querer. And the quisiera only in super formal situations. Know what it means, but, less useful, let's say, for that. Okay, we're going to take a look at one more. Un verbo más. And, the one I'm going to choose is soler. Okay. Soler doesn't have a good translation. Here's why. Soler refers to something being done on a frequent basis. And the only way I can translate this is to usually. And usually is not an action. It's not an action. What do you mean, usually? To usually do something. Okay, so you're going to hear it used by the young lady in the video about verbos modales. She's going to use it. And here's how you're generally going to need it. We're not even going to, actually, I'm not even going to give you, well, I'll give you the conditional, but you won't really need like a subjunctive for this one. Suelo. And this, like querer, doesn't take like an extra little prepositional thing at all with the second verb. It'll just be suelo. Okay, por ejemplo, really, you're only going to need, for practical speaking, the practical use of this, you're only going to need two tenses here, two. Okay, and I don't think that's obvious from the video, which is why I want to take this one. Suelo, por ejemplo, suelo caminar por la mañana. I usually walk in the morning. Suelo caminar por la mañana. You are going to hear that in presente. And what it just means is that somebody generally has a habit of doing something. Okay? Whatever they usually do, frequently do a lot.
Carolyn,
Sí.
sorry, my camera, it must have a virus. It was working and then it went out. I don't know what happened. Anyway, very frustrating. Sorry, I'm still here. But yeah, so I have two questions about solar. Then
Okay.
the one is, I guess it goes without saying, it doesn't have a future tense then. Like because you can't have used to done something in the future.
Because that's not the kind of action where you can say, it will happen. Usually, it doesn't make sense, does it?
Then my other question is, ¿puedo decir solía vivir en Canada? Like, could I say I used to, or is that not, because it's not something you habitually.
It's not used to. No. Oh, you have a good question. Let's take a look at that. I'm going to go back to the slide so that I can address that specific situation. But I also want to show you, because.
Porque es verdad. Solía vivir en Canada, pero es posible
can you see my screen now?
Esto. Yeah.
Okay. Vale. They're really, okay, so what I want to show you is there are only really two tenses you need to know for this verb. because I'm not sure. I think she does talk in the video about not needing it for future, but here's the way you're going to hear these two, because we're looking at like, what do you have to have in your back hip pocket? Yeah. What do you have to be able to pull out and use? Here's the one, and it's the only one really you need to use for the past. Solía. So, solía caminar. Let's take the same example just to make it a little bit interesting or a little bit easier to compare. Solía caminar por la mañana is I usually walked in the morning. I usually used to, kind of, yeah. Solía caminar. Okay. What if you want to say, I think the example you had was, I used to live. Am I right on that?
Yes.
I used to live. Okay. If it's I used to live, you didn't usually live, right? So used to will always really only need one verb.
Vivía.
And so there you go. So if your idea is to say, I used to live, right? That used to is always imperfecto. Okay, so you don't really need soler. Soler just talks about the frequency being a high frequency. That's what its job is. Its job is to say, did this a lot. Okay, so all it needs is the imperfecto of soler, right? Solía caminar. I usually walked. I usually walked in the morning. Solía caminar. Solía, por ejemplo, solía estudiar por la noche. I usually studied at night. Solía hablar con mi hermana los jueves. I usually talked with my sister on Thursdays. If you schedule a call, let's say, with somebody, see? Solíamos reunirnos los viernes. We used to get together. We used to meet up, yeah, on Fridays. Okay? We usually met up on Fridays. See? We usually met up on Fridays. So I used to live, really, all you need is vivía. A ver. Ay.
And then just to add the acostumbrarse, like just to like add that to this, not to confuse myself more, but is that's like you're accustomed to doing something, is
With
not
soler,
quite,
you mean?
yeah, like acostumbrarse.
Yeah.
Like it's not because it's like you're accustomed to doing this thing. It's not exactly the same as I'm usually doing this thing. So there's
Yeah.
nuance, I guess.
Yeah,
They're
it
not.
could. There is a verb acostumbrarse, to be accustomed to. But yeah, soler, it just says that you did something a lot.
I tend
Often.
to do this. I tend to do that. Or
Yeah.
I tend. Okay, that's how I should
Yeah.
see it. I tend. Okay.
And sometimes with a verb like vivir, it's just that it's not very natural to say, I usually lived someplace. If I used to live, just take vivir and put that in imperfecto, and boom, you're done. Yeah, that's all you need.
I'm nodding my head, but you can't see it. But I thank you very much for the
Yeah.
explanation.
O por ejemplo, yo solía jugar con mis hijos cuando eran niños. I usually played with my kids when they were little, when they were just kids. Así, like that. Okay, but the only two forms you really need to have in your back pocket for soler are presente, suelo, and that imperfecto, solía, right? Because if you say you usually did something, again, it's not a one-time pretérito thing. So the only way that is really going to make sense to use soler in the past is to use it as imperfecto. Does that make sense? See? You're not going to hear it a lot in conditional. You're not going to hear it a lot in past subjunctives. So we're not even going to go there. We're looking at, what you need frequently. So what I would like you to do for the coming week is to, again, take these three new verbs, right? Of ir, querer, because they're high frequency, and soler. And give me two examples, maybe three. Pick any tense, but with soler, you're really limited to just those two. And come in with some examples of those in the coming weeks. Does that make sense? ¿Sí? ¿Tiene sentido? Okay.
And we didn't do the tener. Were we supposed to do tener for today too?
Tener, well, if you had an example, ¿sí?
Well, I have just another one. I tried to have the little story about, did you have a dog? ¿Tienes un perro? And
Sí.
¿tuviste tu perro cuando tenía 6 años? You had your dog when you
Well,
were, or you got your dog when you were 6.
got your dog. There you
That's it.
go. That's what I was going to point out.
Tuviste tu perro. And then here's my one. I tried to do the if. Si tuviera un perro, tendría le llama Spot. If you had a dog, you would have to name it Spot. I don't know.
Sí. If you give a name to something, it's tendría que ponerle el nombre Spot.
Oh, okay.
See? Often you put a name on something when you name it. It's an odd little turn of phrase, see?
Interesting.
Okay, por ejemplo, and I would make that a little less complicated by saying, si tuviera un perro, if I had a dog, le pondría, I would put on him, le pondría el nombre Spot. See?
Okay.
Sí. For the past, something like tuvimos un perro cuando tenía 8 años. We got a dog when I was 8. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
See, but if I talk about tener with a pet, it means I first got that animal, right? I first took it home.
Yeah.
That's what it talks about. If I want to say, siempre tenía perros en mi casa cuando era niña, I always had dogs. So we just use teníamos. Then it's had. But it's not talking about that day that animal came home. Yeah, which is the only way we can use tener in pretérito. Okay. Make sense?
Yeah.
See?
As always, I had more trouble with the conditional and subjunctive. Not sure how to use those.
Tendría is just tendría, T-E-N-D, a D comes in. Tener has no D, but conditional gets an oddball D. Tener is very irregular in a whole bunch of tenses, and that conditional is one. See? Tendría. Tendría. Si tuviéramos una fortuna, sí, Sí, tendríamos una casa enorme. We would have a huge house.
Okay,
Así. Bien? Yeah, make sense?
sí.
Tiene sentido. Yeah. Any other questions you've got connected to that? No? Yeah, for next week, I just wanted you to work with those three. You're going to hear her talk about more verbs than that. And we'll talk a little about them next week, but I only want you to focus. And the bigger focuses, the more important ones really are the ir and querer, things that match up with the second verb. So that second verb always has to be the action that you wanted to do. Yeah. Quería visitar a mi abuelita. I wanted to visit my grandma. See? Iba a visitar a mi abuelita. I was going to visit grandma, right? That second verb is the part that just stays as the infinitive. That makes sense, ¿sí? Tiene sentido. Okay. A ver. Let's see. Oh. And my computer booted me out of something here. Wait un momentito. So, I want to show you the beginning of an article, but we're not going to see all of it, just for fun here, to see a context use. And I'm trying to make the print big enough for everybody to see. Okay. Está bien. Aquí viene el artículo. So we want to see some context. And this is going to go back to poder, just to show you how common it is. We're not going to see it in the first sentence yet. Es un artículo del entrenamiento de los perros, pero perros especiales, perros de rescate, rescue dogs. Yay, rescue dogs, sí, perros de rescate. Bags, bags. Es hembra, she's a female. Una golden retriever, y se dice golden retriever, si no hay manera de traducir, there's no way to translate that, de 5 meses, era la más pequeña de la camada. She was the smallest in the, ¿qué es camada? What do you think camada is? We know she's only 5 months.
The litter?
Litter, sí. Era la más pequeña de la camada. Ahora está entrenando. Now she is training, ¿sí? Para ser una perra de rescate en avalanchas.
Wow.
It's refreshing to think of something that's not 100-degree heat because of where we live. Okay, so she's training to be a rescue dog in avalanche rescue. Los perros desempeñan un papel fundamental. Dogs play and it's not paper. They don't play paper. They may play with paper, but that's not what it means. Papel here means a roll.
Oh.
R-O-L-E. ¿Ya? Los perros desempeñan un papel fundamental. They play an important role. Cuando se produce una avalancha, when an avalanche happens, ¿sí? Sus potentes narices. Narices es plural de la nariz. So that narices is the plural because the Z changes to a C, yeah? Their powerful noses, sus potentes narices ayudan a guiar a los rescatistas hasta las personas sepultadas bajo la nieve. The powerful noses help to guide rescuers, yeah, rescatistas, to guide them to what? People who are what? Bajo la nieve, under the snow. What do you think that sepultadas
Like
means?
buried, like a sepulcher.
Buried.
Oh,
Yes, a sepulcher is a really fancy, highfalutin word. A sepulcher is a fancy word for a tomb. And so sepultadas is buried, sepultadas bajo la nieve, salvando momentos cruciales que pueden significar la diferencia entre la vida y la muerte. Yeah, saving crucial seconds that can mean the difference between life and death. And here we've got pueden significar, can mean. And here we've got it in presente. And I think in a little bit we're going to have our next example of poder, but not with in presente. El riguroso entrenamiento dura años. Dura, think of duration. Yeah. Duration comes from the same thing. Durante comes from the same thing. But here, dura is a verb. The rigorous training lasts or takes years. See? Comenzando cuando son cachorros. Starting when they are. Cachorro es un perro muy pequeño, muy joven.
What's the difference between a chacurro and a perrito?
La diferencia. Cachorro es un perro muy joven, menos de un año, Perrito, dos cosas, two things. Perrito could mean it's very tiny in size. Perrito can also just be used to say that it is dear to you, that you love it.
Okay.
My sweet doggy, who could be 80 pounds, yeah, can still be perrito because it's figurative, not literal, right? Literal, perrito is just physically small, you know. Okay. Visitamos el Jackson Hole Mountain Resort en Wyoming para ver qué se necesita para crear a uno de esos perros tan especiales. Yeah. We visited Jackson Hole Resort to see what is needed. ¿Qué se necesita? What you need. What is needed to raise, para criar, to raise. R-A-I-S-E, see, one of these special dogs. And here comes the big title. And here we've got a great example of one of these modal verbs. Este cachorro, this puppy, este cachorro podría algún día salvarte la vida. This puppy could
One day save somebody's life.
Could one day, someday, save your life. And there's our big in context use. See? Bien, sí. Abegs, and we just talk about them playing and training, but that's just our nice use of, here's an in context example of hypothetical. Why we use podría, conditional. Why do we use conditional when we're talking about a hypothetical? Could someday save your life, right? Could say podría salvar, and the algún día is just wedged in there in between the two verbs to give a time tag, to tag a time on it. Okay, let's take a look at just a little bit.
And could you also use the subjunctive of salvar and say the same thing? Get rid of the podría?
A veces, sometimes, but it would be kind of
A shade of meaning
sometimes
different?
you do hear it. Okay. The short answer, and it gets a little bit complicated, is that sometimes you do hear that used, but this would be the most common.
Okay,
Yeah, this would be the most common. All right.
then I don't
Just
have
the
to know a
direct
bunch of different
translation
verbs.
would do something, would save, or like would be able, right? Would
Okay.
be able to save, could at some point save your life.
Great.
Okay. A ver, sí. We're just going to do the last bit here since we're running short on time. A Bags le encanta retosar. Retosar es como jugar. Frolic. It's a fancier word than jugar, okay? A Bags le encanta retosar en la nieve, trepar colinas, climb hills, y jugar con los patrulleros de ski. And she likes to play with the ski patrol guys, right? ¿Sí? Pero está inmersa en una misión importante. But she is immersed. She's deep into an important mission. ¿Sí? Si logra convertirse en una perra de rescate, if she becomes a rescue dog en avalanchas, algún día podría salvar vidas. Algún día podría salvar. Someday she could save lives. And what we want to just, or what I want to do for you here is just to show you some in-context uses of why we need that podría, just why that happens. Okay, bien, ¿vale? ¿Todo bien? All good? Okay, bien. So you've got a grammar-related video. We're going to use some new verbs next week. We've got, I have to look at the length. There are 2 videos connected to this idea of the unpopulated areas and who's going into those places nowadays, because that is kind of a push that is happening, and often it's happening with young people, because who has no money to buy a home? And this is not just a US thing. Who doesn't have money? It's the young people, yeah? Who has a hard time finding something you can afford to buy? It's the young folk. So this is happening, but she has kind of a special situation, and I have to see if I don't want to give too much for you to watch. If the first video is too long, I won't give you the 2 connected videos. One is going to show why she wants to move, and the other one is going to show here's what I'm starting to do to fix the new place. Okay? ¿Sí? ¿Todo bien? All good?
Sí, gracias.
Bien. And it's more kind of like these videos are more in the storytelling vein, more a little bit like a short feature film in installments. Think about that. Okay? ¿Sí? Bien? Are we good? ¿Todo bien? Gracias. Muchísimas gracias por participar y nos vemos, sí, la semana que viene.